My parents forced me to sign away my luxury condo to my sister. Then a complete stranger exposed their lies on live TV. My mother slid the papers across the kitchen table, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against the wood. "Sign here," she said, voice steady, practiced. My father stood behind me, blocking the doorway like a security guard. The overhead light buzzed, casting shadows across the legal document in front of me. I could smell my sister Victoria's perfume, expensive and suffocating, as she sat across from me checking her phone. My hands shook as I picked up the pen. The words "property transfer permanent" blurred as tears filled my vision. "They'd called me here with an emergency, said Victoria needed help immediately. But this wasn't help. This was theft, dressed up as family loyalty." I signed anyway, my signature a betrayal of everything I'd worked for. The pen clicked as I set it down. Victoria smiled without looking up from her screen. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A calendar reminder I'd set weeks ago glowed through the fabric. "TV interview, tomorrow, 10 a.m. The moment the pen left my hand, reality crashed into me like cold water. "Wait," I said, my voice cracking. "This says permanent transfer. You said Victoria just needed to stay there temporarily while she got back on her feet." My mother's face shifted into that disappointed expression I knew too well. "Sweetheart, you're overreacting. It's just legal language. You know Victoria needs stability right now after the divorce." My father's hand landed heavy on my shoulder, his grip firm enough to hurt. "Don't embarrass us by making a scene, Natalie. We're family. This is what family does." But I just signed away my condo, the 2-bedroom corner unit I'd saved for through 3 years of overtime and weekend shifts. The place where I'd finally felt stable, secure, safe. Victoria stood, smoothing her designer dress. "Can we go now? I have lunch plans." My throat tightened as panic clawed up my chest. But where am I supposed to live? I haven't even packed yet. My mother pulled out her phone, scrolling to photos I'd seen 1,000 times. Victoria at her wedding 4 years ago, the lavish ceremony at the country club. Victoria's divorce announcement last year, complete with dramatic social media posts about betrayal and new beginnings. "Your sister has been through hell," Mom said, her voice thick with manufactured sympathy. "She deserves a fresh start in a beautiful space. You're young, Natalie. You can rent somewhere cheaper and save money." The golden child and the workhorse. That's what we'd always been. I'd worked 2 jobs through college while Victoria's tuition was paid in full. I'd bought my condo at 29 after years of sacrifice. Victoria had blown through 3 trust fund distributions by 32. My father crossed his arms. "Besides, you'll still be paying the mortgage until Victoria's credit improves enough to refinance. So technically, you're still invested in the property." The words hit like a slap. They wanted my home and my money. Victoria smiled, finally looking at me. "Think of it as your contribution to my healing journey." I went back to my condo that evening, standing in the doorway of a home that was no longer mine. The hardwood floors gleamed under the setting sun. The kitchen where I'd learned to cook. The bedroom where I'd cried and celebrated and grown into myself. All of it gone. I pulled out my laptop and logged into the county property records, my hands shaking so badly I mistyped the password twice. When the page finally loaded, my stomach dropped. Transfer filing date, 2 days ago, 2 days before I'd signed. They'd submitted the paperwork before I ever put pen to paper. The signature on the preliminary filing looked like mine, but I'd never seen that document before. My phone rang. "Victoria." I answered without thinking. "Hey, just wanted to give you a heads up," she said cheerfully. "I'm having some furniture delivered to the condo tomorrow morning. Can you make sure you're out by 8? The delivery guys need clear access." I looked around at my belongings, nothing packed, nowhere to go. "Victoria, I need time to find a place and move my stuff," she sighed, annoyed. "Well, figure it out fast. This is my home now." I showed up at my parents' house at 7 the next morning, the fraudulent paperwork printed and clutched in my hands. My mother opened the door in her silk robe, coffee mug in hand, her face flashing with irritation. "Natalie, what are you doing here so early?" I pushed past her into the kitchen, where my father sat with his tablet, reading news. "You filed the transfer 2 days before I signed," I said, my voice shaking with anger and fear. "That's fraud. You forged my signature on preliminary documents." My father set down his tablet slowly, his face hardening. Don't be dramatic. We expedited the process because Victoria needed to move quickly. You would have signed anyway. My mother's eyes filled with instant tears, her voice trembling. How can you accuse your own parents of this, after everything we've sacrificed for you? Victoria appeared from upstairs, dressed for the day, makeup perfect. Oh my God, Natalie. You're really going to destroy the family over this? I'm finally getting my life together, and you want to ruin it because of some paperwork technicality? My father stood, towering over me. If you make this public, you'll regret it. I promise you that. I sat in my car outside their house for 30 minutes, my whole body shaking. My phone buzzed with an email. The subject line read, Your story submission, The Daily Truth Show. I'd contacted them 3 weeks ago when I'd first overheard my parents planning something involving my property. When I'd asked them directly and they'd lied to my face. The email was short and direct. We'd love to feature your story on tomorrow's show. 10 a.m. call time. This kind of family financial abuse is exactly what we're covering this month. My finger hovered over the reply button. Going public meant war. It meant admitting my family had used me, betrayed me, stolen from me. It meant humiliation and exposure. Then another text came through. Victoria posting on Instagram, a photo of my bedroom, my actual bedroom, with the caption, Moving into my beautiful new space. Sometimes the universe rewards your patience. Blessed beyond measure. Fresh start, new beginnings. She'd already moved in. While I'd been confronting our parents, she'd taken my keys and moved into my home. I replied to the email, I'll be there. I called my friend Kara that afternoon from a hotel room I'd checked into with one suitcase of hastily grabbed belongings. She worked in real estate law, specialized in property disputes. I needed someone who could see through the legal smoke. She met me in the hotel lobby 20 minutes later, and I handed her the documents with shaking hands. She read in silence, her expression shifting from curious to confused to angry. Natalie, she said quietly, looking up at me with sharp eyes. This paperwork is a mess. The witness signature is dated 3 days after your signature. The notary seal is from Riverside County, but the transactions supposedly happened in downtown offices. These are different jurisdictions. My coffee sat untouched, going cold. What does that mean? She took photos of every page with her phone. It means if they pressured you, coerced you, or created this urgency artificially, the transfer could be challenged. Did they pressure you? I thought about my father blocking the door, my mother's instant tears, Victoria's smug indifference, the way they'd cornered me with no warning and no time to think. Yes, I whispered. They ambushed me. I had no idea it was coming. That night, my mother called 14 times. I ignored every call until I couldn't anymore and listened to her voicemails. Her voice was razor sharp. A producer from that TV show contacted me asking about our family financial situation. Natalie, if you go on television and humiliate us, there will be consequences. Your father has business relationships in this city. People watch that show. Important people. The next voicemail was my father, his voice low and threatening. We raised you. We gave you everything. And this is how you repay us? By airing private family matters on television? You do this, and you're not our daughter anymore. The final message was Victoria, her voice high-pitched and panicked. Mom told me what you're planning. You can't do this to me, Nat. I just posted about the condo. My friends know I'm living here now. If you take it back, I'll look like a liar. Just tell them the truth, that you gave it to me willingly, because you love me. Please. I saved all 3 voicemails and sent them to Kara with a text. More evidence. I walked onto the studio set feeling like I might throw up. The lights were blinding, heating my skin within seconds. The host, Michelle Winters, sat across from me in a burgundy blazer, her expression professional but kind. My parents sat in the front row of the small studio audience, my father's jaw clenched, my mother's smile tight and warning. Victoria had refused to come, texting me an hour ago. I won't give you the satisfaction of watching you lie about me on TV. The cameras started rolling. Michelle leaned forward, her voice warm. Natalie, thank you for being brave enough to share your story. You recently transferred ownership of your condo to your sister Victoria. Can you tell us about that decision? The studio was silent except for equipment humming. Every person in the audience watching, waiting. I could feel my parents' stares burning into me, could imagine my mother's fury, my father's disappointment. I looked at the camera and thought about all the people watching who might be trapped the same way I was. I didn't decide anything, I said, my voice stronger than I expected. My parents forced me to sign under pressure, and they filed fraudulent documents before I ever agreed. The audience gasped, a collective intake of breath. My mother's face went pale, her practiced smile crumbling. My father started to rise from his seat, but a producer stepped forward, gesturing for him to stay. Michelle's eyebrows lifted slightly, but her voice remained calm and measured. "That's a serious allegation, Natalie. Can you explain what happened?" I pulled out the documents Kara had marked up, holding them steady even though my hands wanted to shake. 2 days before they asked me to sign transfer papers, they'd already filed preliminary documents with the county. The signatures don't match up. The notary information is wrong. And when I signed, my father was blocking the door, and they told me it was temporary, that Victoria just needed a place to stay while she rebuilt her life after her divorce. Michelle turned to my parents, her expression neutral but sharp. "Mr. and Mrs. Palmer, your daughter is claiming you coerced her and falsified documents. How do you respond?" My father's voice boomed across the small studio, full of righteous anger. "This is a private family matter being twisted for television drama. Natalie offered to help her sister. She's just having regrets and trying to blame us instead of taking responsibility for her choices." That's when a man in the third row raised his hand, his voice cutting clean through the tension. "Actually, what they're describing is a prosecutable crime." Every head in the studio turned. The man stood, and there was something about his posture, the way he commanded immediate attention, that made the room go still. "My name is Benjamin Cross," he said, pulling a credential wallet from his jacket. "I'm a real estate compliance investigator for the county. I was invited here by the producers after they contacted our office about suspicious property transfers in this jurisdiction." Michelle looked surprised, glancing at her producer, who nodded confirmation. "Mr. Cross, what exactly are you saying?" Benjamin stepped into the aisle, his voice professional and precise. "What Natalie Palmer is describing matches a pattern we've been investigating for 6 months. Family members pressuring relatives to transfer property, then maintaining the mortgage burden on the original owner while taking possession of the asset. It's financial elder abuse statutes applied to adult children." My father's face went from red to ashen. My mother gripped her purse with white knuckles. Benjamin continued, looking directly at the camera. "Filing property transfer documents with falsified dates or forged preliminary signatures is fraud. Coercing someone to sign legal documents under duress violates state housing protection laws, and requiring the victim to continue paying for property they no longer own is financial exploitation." Michelle's producer brought forward a tablet, pulling up the documents on the large studio monitor. Benjamin walked to the screen, pointing at specific sections while the audience watched. "See this notary seal? This certifies the document was processed in Riverside County. But according to the filing, this transaction happened at an office in downtown Metro County. That's 80 miles apart. The notary couldn't have been in both places." He scrolled to the signature page. "And here, the witness signature is dated March 18th, but Natalie's signature is dated March 16th. A witness can't verify a signature that happened 2 days in the future." Murmurs rippled through the audience. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." My mother stood, her voice shaking. "This is ridiculous. We're being ambushed. That man has no right to analyze private family documents on television." Benjamin turned to face her directly. "These documents became public record the moment they were filed with the county. I have every right to review them. And what I'm seeing is clear evidence of fraud." My father pointed at me, his face twisted with rage. "You planned this. You brought him here to destroy us." I met his eyes. "I didn't bring him. The truth did." Michelle held up a hand, her voice cutting through the rising chaos. "I'm being told we have Victoria Palmer on video call. Let's bring her in." The monitor switched to a video feed. Victoria sat in my living room, my former living room, surrounded by her new furniture. She looked polished and angry, her jaw tight. "This is insane," she said immediately, not waiting for a question. "Natalie is lying. She offered me the condo. She said she wanted to help me start over after my divorce. Now she's regretting it and making up this whole story about being forced. Michelle's voice was gentle but firm. Victoria, we have documentation showing the transfer was filed before your sister signed the papers. Were you aware of that irregularity? Victoria's eyes flickered, uncertainty crossing her face for half a second. I didn't handle the paperwork. Mom and Dad took care of the legal stuff. I just knew Natalie was giving me her place. Why should I question it? She's my sister. I trusted her. Benjamin's voice came from off-screen. Miss Palmer, did your parents tell you that your sister would continue paying the mortgage on the property after transfer? Victoria's face hardened. That's temporary, just until my credit score improves enough to refinance. It's not a big deal. The audience erupted in angry murmurs. Benjamin pulled out his phone, tapping the screen. One more thing, he said, his voice cutting through the noise. I pulled county records for all property owned by members of the Palmer family. The studio monitor changed again, showing property records. Victoria Palmer, through an LLC called Phoenix Fresh Start Holdings, purchased a condominium 18 months ago. $2.2 million property, mortgage paid in full. The studio went completely silent. Victoria's face on the screen went white. My mother made a choking sound. My father froze, his mouth opening and closing. That's... Victoria started, her voice faltering. That's an investment property. It doesn't count. Michelle leaned forward. You told your family you were homeless after your divorce. You told your sister you desperately needed her condo because you had nowhere else to go. But you owned a multi-million-dollar property the entire time? Victoria's composure shattered. That property is for income, for rental income. I needed Natalie's place for me, for my lifestyle, for the neighborhood, for my image. Her voice rose, sharp and entitled. She always had everything easy, the career, the money, the respect. I finally got something for myself, and she's trying to ruin it because she can't stand that I'm winning. The audience turned completely against her. Someone shouted, "You're a thief!" Michelle looked directly into the camera, her expression serious. We need to pause for our legal team to review this situation. But the cameras kept rolling, the producers deciding to capture everything. My father tried to stand and leave, but a producer blocked his path politely. Sir, leaving now might appear that you're fleeing accountability. We'd appreciate if you'd stay. My mother sat frozen in her seat, tears running down her face, but these weren't the practiced tears she'd used on me. These were panic. People in the audience had their phones out, filming. I could see the red recording lights dotting the crowd, knew this was being captured and shared in real time. Benjamin returned to his seat, but stopped by me first. He handed me a business card quietly. You'll need representation. I know someone who handles these cases. She's aggressive and she wins. Call her today. My phone buzzed constantly in my bag, notifications piling up as clips from the show started going viral while we were still filming. Michelle returned, her expression carefully controlled. Natalie, our show would like to connect you with legal resources. What happened to you represents a pattern of abuse we want to help stop. The studio finally released us after 2 hours. Backstage, my parents cornered me in the hallway before I could reach the exit. My mother grabbed my wrist, her nails digging in. Fix this. She hissed, her mask of gentle motherhood completely gone. Tell them you lied, that you exaggerated, that you were emotional and confused. My father blocked the hallway, his face red with fury. Do you understand what you've done? My business partners saw this. Your uncle called. My golf club friends are asking questions. You've destroyed our reputation in this community. Victoria pushed through the door, her phone in her hand, face streaked with smeared makeup. I have 300 messages, she screamed at me. People are calling me a con artist. My friends are asking if the story is true. You've ruined my life on national television. I pulled my wrist free from my mother's grip, stepping back. I didn't ruin anything. I told the truth. Everything that's happening to you now is consequence, not attack. My father's voice dropped to a cold whisper. If you pursue legal action, we will fight you with everything we have. We will make this so expensive and so drawn out that you'll give up. We'll make sure everyone knows what a vindictive, ungrateful daughter you are. A voice came from behind me. Actually, you won't. A woman in a sharp gray suit stepped forward, her heels clicking with authority. "My name is Helen Park. I'm a property rights attorney, and I've been watching this case develop with interest. Mr. and Mrs. Palmer, what you just did constitutes witness intimidation, which I've recorded." She held up her phone, screen showing a recording in progress. My father's face went pale. My mother stumbled backward. Victoria looked between them all, confused and panicked. Helen turned to me, her expression softer. "Natalie, I'd like to represent you. Pro bono, this case is exactly the kind of precedent-setting situation I've been looking for." We moved to a conference room the studio provided. Helen spread documents across the table, her eyes scanning each page with practiced efficiency. "This is strong," she said. "Your parents committed fraud. Your sister benefited from that fraud knowingly. The county will reverse this transfer." My hands shook as relief and fear warred inside me. "How long?" She checked her watch. "I can file an emergency injunction by close of business today. It'll freeze any modifications to the property, prevent sale or rental. Then we petition for full reversal, 2 to 3 weeks for the hearing." My phone buzzed with a text from my uncle. "You've always been a selfish, attention-seeking child. Your parents deserved better." I showed Helen. She took a screenshot. "Evidence of harassment. Keep every message." The court granted the emergency injunction 4 days later. Helen called me while I was sitting in a coffee shop, trying to work remotely and failing to concentrate. The judge reviewed the evidence and agreed there were significant irregularities indicating fraud and coercion. "Your sister has 72 hours to vacate the property." I set down my coffee, my hands trembling. "Just like that?" Helen's voice was warm but professional. "Just like that." The evidence was overwhelming. "Be prepared, though. Your sister likely won't go quietly." She was right. When I arrived at the condo with Helen and a sheriff's deputy on eviction day, Victoria was already there with a moving truck. But she wasn't packing. She was destroying. The walls had holes punched through them, ragged and violent. The hardwood floors I'd carefully maintained were gouged with deep scratches, car keys maybe or screwdrivers. My bedroom window was cracked. The bathroom mirror was shattered, glass glittering across the tile. She'd poured something dark and sticky across the kitchen counters. Victoria stood in the living room, arms crossed, smiling with cold satisfaction. "Enjoy your precious condo, Natalie. Hope it was worth it." The deputy stepped forward. "Ma'am, I need to inform you that property destruction during eviction is a criminal offense. I'm documenting everything here." Victoria's smile faltered. "I don't care. Send me the bill." I stood in the destroyed condo after Victoria left, the deputy's report filed, Helen photographing every angle of damage. The place looked like a crime scene. My chest felt tight, emotions I couldn't name flooding through me. Then my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "I saw your story. I'm a contractor. Let me help." Then another. "I do interior design. No charge. You deserve better than this." Another. "I run a furniture company. Whatever you need, we'll donate it." Within an hour, I had 15 offers from strangers who'd seen the viral clips, who'd watched my family implode, and decided to help rebuild what they'd destroyed. Over the next 2 weeks, I coordinated with volunteers, watched my home slowly transform. A construction crew patched and repainted the walls, better quality paint than I'd had before. Floor specialists refinished the hardwood, buffing out the scratches until they gleamed. New furniture arrived, piece by piece, strangers sending couches and tables and lamps because they believed in justice, in karma, in helping someone who'd stood up. My parents sent one letter during this time, delivered by actual mail. I opened it alone in the repaired living room, no apology, just blame. "You chose strangers over blood. You destroyed this family for attention and sympathy. We hope you're satisfied with yourself. You're no longer our daughter." I read their letter 3 times, sitting on my new couch from the furniture company that had reached out. The words tried to crawl under my skin, tried to make me doubt, tried to make me feel guilty for choosing myself. For a moment, I almost did. Then I looked around. At the walls repaired by strangers who saw my pain. At the furniture given by people who understood betrayal. At the home I'd fought for, bled for, refused to surrender. I walked to my desk and pulled out paper and pen. I wrote carefully. "I didn't destroy this family. I just stopped pretending it was healthy. There's a difference. I folded the letter, sealed it, and threw it away. They didn't deserve my words anymore. My phone rang. Helen's voice was crisp with satisfaction. The court finalized the reversal today. The property is legally yours, title clear, all financial records updated. Your sister has been ordered to pay $12,000 in restitution for damages. Your parents are under investigation by the County Fraud Division. I sat in my restored home, sunlight streaming through clean windows. Thank you. She paused. No, thank you for being willing to stand up. You've helped more people than you know. After we hung up, I sat in silence, not empty silence, full silence. The kind that comes from peace instead of fear. The official documents arrived on a Tuesday, a thick envelope with county seals and legal stamps. I sat at my kitchen table and read every page carefully. Property title restored to Natalie Marie Palmer. Mortgage solely under original owner name, no secondary claims or encumbrances. Financial responsibility clear and singular. It was mine. Really, completely, legally mine. I walked through each room slowly, touching walls that strangers had repaired, running my hands along countertops that volunteers had replaced. This wasn't just about a condo anymore. It was about reclaiming my voice, my boundaries, my right to exist without apologizing. I'd spent 29 years being the reliable one, the backup plan, the person who sacrificed so everyone else could shine. I'd believed that love meant erasing myself, making myself smaller, giving until I disappeared. But standing in my home, afternoon sun streaming through windows nobody could take from me, I understood something new. Love that requires you to vanish isn't love. It's control wearing a family photo as a mask. I ran into Victoria 6 months later at a grocery store in a neighborhood far from where our parents lived. I was picking up ingredients for dinner, mind on a recipe, when I heard my name. Natalie. I turned slowly. She stood 3 feet away, looking different. Smaller somehow. Her designer clothes were gone, replaced with normal jeans and a plain sweater. No perfect makeup, no confident posture. She looked like someone who'd been humbled by consequence. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice uncertain. I glanced at my cart, calculating how quickly I could leave. Then I looked at her face and saw something unfamiliar. Genuine discomfort. Maybe even shame. We sat in the store's cafe, 2 strangers who used to be sisters. She twisted a coffee cup in her hands. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "Not just because I got caught, because I finally understand what I did to you." I waited, not helping her. She needed to carry this weight herself. "Mom and Dad convinced me that you owed me," she continued, "that you had everything easy, that I deserved more. I believed them because it was easier than admitting I was jealous of you." She looked up, eyes red. "Was it worth it, losing all of us?" I looked at Victoria. This person I'd grown up with, shared birthdays and holidays and family dinners with. This person who'd stolen my home and smiled about it. Who'd destroyed what she couldn't keep. "Yes," I said, and the word felt like release. "Not because you lost something, but because I found myself." She flinched like I'd struck her. "I don't know if I can forgive myself for what I did." I picked up my coffee, wrapping my hands around the warm cup. "That's not my responsibility anymore. I spent years managing everyone's emotions, keeping peace, taking blame that wasn't mine. I'm done." Victoria wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "Mom and Dad won't talk to me either now. They say I embarrassed them by being on that show, by losing the condo, by making them look bad." Something in my chest shifted. Not sympathy exactly, more like recognition of patterns repeating. "They'll do that," I said quietly. "Find someone else to blame when their plans fall apart." I stood, picking up my purse. "I hope you figure out who you are without them programming you. I hope you learn what I learned, that being loved shouldn't cost everything you are." I walked toward the exit, then paused and looked back. "And Victoria?" The condo was never about the condo. It was about power. I hope you understand that someday. I started sharing my story online 2 months after the legal battle ended, not seeking revenge but offering connection. I wrote about the kitchen table, the blocked door, the moment I chose truth over comfort. The post went viral within 6 hours. 15,000 shares by evening, 40,000 by the end of the week. My inbox flooded with messages from every corner of the world. A woman in Portland whose parents took her inheritance to fund her brother's business. A man in Chicago whose sister destroyed his credit. A college student whose family emptied her savings account for a wedding she wasn't invited to. They all said the same thing. I thought I was the only one. I created a private support group, a forum where people could share stories without judgment or family seeing. It grew to 2,000 members in 6 weeks. People posted about setting boundaries, saying no, walking away from families who took everything and gave back guilt. We celebrated small victories, first therapy appointments, first conversations with lawyers, first moments of choosing self-preservation over family pressure. The community became bigger than my story. It became permission for others to tell theirs. To stop hiding abuse behind the word family. I sit in my living room now, the city lights twinkling outside my window like distant stars, and I feel something I haven't felt in years: peace, not constant happiness. Healing isn't a straight line from broken to fixed, isn't a switch that flips from pain to joy. But peace. Real, solid, earned peace. The condo is quiet except for the soft hum of the heater and distant traffic sounds. I've hung artwork I chose on walls I own, filled shelves with books I wanted, made this space mine in ways I never could when I was afraid someone might take it. Every corner holds evidence of my choice to exist fully, to matter, to refuse disappearing for someone else's comfort. My phone buzzes occasionally with messages from the support group, people sharing victories and setbacks. I respond when I can, offering what I needed most: permission to prioritize yourself without guilt. Tomorrow I'm meeting Kara for coffee. Next week, therapy. Next month, a solo trip I've been planning, not running from anything, running toward myself. I stand and walk to the door, turning the lock. It clicks softly, secure. That sound used to mean keeping danger out. Now it means keeping peace in. They tried to take my home. Instead, they gave me my freedom, and I'm never giving it back.